Sunny TV Unfiltered. Welcome back, everyone. I've never been so less excited coming off an international break and going into watch Arsenal again, especially at Emirates. It feels like that you're going to go on a long journey with your motor. You promise your kids you're going to take them somewhere. You know your car's pissing out oil and water, and you'll be happy if it actually gets there. You're not looking forward to the journey at all. Arsenal, I'm not looking forward to the journey. I've got some very special guests with me today. Unlike Unai Emery, when there's class to call upon, I go and get them, and I'll give them all the confidence to go and say their piece, even though I know these are very veteran people I've got on here, and they're very, very opinionated. Just a quick reminder, guys. Unlike the podcast that the very good podcast that you two are both on and run, we interrupt each other on this one. So you're very welcome to do that on here as well. So let me introduce my guests. Obviously, we've got the legend, Mr. Lee Juges, who's on here for the first time. Hopefully, it's not going to be the last.
That depends on you, Sonny. Like that depends on you,
mate. It's all going to depend on your opinions today.
No worries.
And I've got one of the legends here. I've been watching Tom for years. Tom, say hello to everyone and shout out your channel where everyone can find you as well, and also your Twitter.
Yeah, cheers, Sonny, mate. Goonertalktv at the Goonertalktv on Twitter. I didn't realise you were such a long time listener, Sonny.
Mate, I always was, but I was never one of those people. I was never one of those people to comment. It's only in the last Wenger days. That's when I made showed my face on Arsenal Fan TV because I felt like I had something to say. But I've been watching you for years, mate.
Cheers, fella.
Obviously, there's Scotty boy, isn't it?
Craigie boy.
Craig. He was on Mems back in the day, wasn't you?
Yeah, that's OGs and Judges back in the day.
Judges, and then Slappage used to come on a few times as well. Yeah, I've been a fan of yours for a while. I love you. I love you, Sharon.
Who's Slaphead?
Your mate.
Who's my mate?
Your mate, the one with the cheap hats from Korea.
Oh, I got you now. Say no more.
I also got my partner in crime, me, Terry Davies. Imagooner.
How you doing? You all right?
Thanks for joining me again, Tel.
That's all right, mate.
Before I come on to Tom, Lee, and Terry, just want to say thanks to everyone in the comments. Thank you all for being with me again tonight. Most of you, 99% of you, probably follow me on Twitter, and 99% of you now don't because I'm not on there. I don't know why. I've had a Granit Xhaka moment according to Twitter. I've gone out in a load of abuse, and no one's heard from me since. So Twitter are looking into it. Chances are they're not going to put me back on. I tried to be sly today and put a VPN on and get on that way. It didn't work. But I'm moving in a couple of weeks, so Terry's going to take over the channel for a couple of weeks because I won't have no internet after that. And then when all that gets sorted, I'll probably be back on Twitter because they won't know me. So we'll be back again. We'll start. Let's start with you, Tom. I roughly know Lee's opinion. Lee's one of these people who say what I want to say, but in a much nicer way. He could go and call Torreira shit and get a load of praise. I'll call him shit and I'll get dogs abuse. I just don't understand it. Am I saying it in Turkish or what? What am I saying it in? Tom, what the hell is going on, mate? What is going on?
Oh, mate. All right. If you want to talk about Torreira, if you want to talk about the club fella, I just think that. Let's focus on Torreira then. So the links, I completely understand them. In fairness, I completely understand these links. You've got an agent who's in the situation where he wants to get the best use out of his client. His client clearly isn't happy in this new role that he's being given, which is a stupid sort of attacking midfield. I get what Emery's trying to do. I get that he's trying to play him in a role where he wins the ball further up the pitch. And sometimes it works. We've seen it with Kante under Sarri. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it didn't. But at the end of the day, I think we all realised that Kante as a player was much better at the base of the midfield. Torreira is the same example.
Unless you're a spider and you've got 8 legs, you can't do it on your own, can you?
No, of course you can't. Of course you can't. And I mean, he used to be that player that we thought when he joined, this guy basically is the same amount of having 2 players on the pitch. The amount he run around, intercept the balls, tackle the players in that deeper position was great. But, I mean, now it looks like the kid could be off.
Would you be bothered?
Yeah, of course I would, because I think we've got a top-class player there who's only 23, 24 years old, years ahead of him to improve, and we could let him go because, quite simply, the manager doesn't really know where to play him.
Lee, feel free to jump in. I'm not convinced with Torreira.
No.
I ain't convinced with him. I mean, you know, he went. I tweeted the other day. I said he's like Father Christmas. After Christmas, he's done nothing. I don't think we're going to miss him.
Listen, we're not going to miss him if he's playing the position that he's playing at the moment. That's how I feel. If he's playing like as a holding midfield and playing like he was at the beginning of last season when he first come, then maybe. But the position he's playing now, then you know, get as much money we can for him and get a proper midfielder player in. But I do agree with Tom. You know, he's being mismanaged, but you can say that about a lot of the players. If I'll be honest, you know, not getting the best out of Pepe, is he? He's not getting the best out of. I don't think he's getting the best out of Aubameyang and Lacazette, if I'll be honest as well. You know, so you know, Torreira, as far as I'm concerned, is well down the pecking order of top players that he's not getting the best out of. You know, so listen, if he's not going to play him in the holding role position and what he's looking, you know, then I think he's got to go. Or if you don't really want to leave Arsenal, then you just you know. You fight and hold on until the manager's gone at the end of the season. So it's up to Torreira if he's going to throw his toys out and wants out of January, it's not just about the manager, is it? Because he could hold on.
All of you and everyone in the comments as well. What would you say Torreira's actually worth now?
Cool, that's a good question. 30 million? Max.
Yeah, 30 million.
So he hasn't really gone up in value, has he?
He's not been given the chance to, in fairness. Like he's not playing his best role. I don't agree. I think you're being a bit harsh on him personally. I think that we've seen that he can really be a top class player. You saw that when he joined, and then as soon as we started tinkering, as soon as we started twisting the way that we should put him, things started to go downhill. The thing is with Torreira is that, as you said earlier, he ain't a spider. He ain't got 8 legs. He can't do it all by himself. He needs to play in a pivot with a midfielder that's going to support him, that's going to give him that ability to run around the pitch. And if he does manage to get slightly out of position, you've got that cover. Granit Xhaka was never going to be that player. He's got too many mistakes in him personally. If you play someone next to him that's more secure, can get a big tackle in, can also pass the ball well, I think Torreira becomes a completely different Arsenal for us.
Yeah. Terry, what's your take on him? I mean, at the moment, I think they're all shit at the moment, every one of them. So,
yeah, I was just about to say. I mean, you can't pick any one player that's outstanding for us. So we can't really just sit here and take it out on one player. For me, Torreira, I think, was one of our best players at the end of last season. But obviously, since this season and what Emery's been doing with the team, I've got no idea with the players and the positions he's putting them in and the tactics he's playing. I really like Torreira. I think if he plays in that defensive midfield role, I think under a different manager, he'll thrive there with new players around him. But like everyone's been saying, he can't do it on his own. Like any player, Pepe can't do it on his own. Aubameyang can't do it on his own. Lacazette can't do it. So everyone is just mediocre at the moment under Emery. I think we should take our focus away from the players now and solely look at the manager and the board.
Do you know what? I think there should be a new crest at Arsenal, above club level. You know, every player that we got at Arsenal, we always say they needed somebody else with them. We could only play 11 of them. We need fucking 22 of them on the pitch. They always need a player to make them look better.
For me, it doesn't matter. Even if I've been saying this for a while now. Even if we had Ronaldo, Messi, all these great players, I don't think it would make a difference in our team under this manager. That's what I keep saying. It's not the players or the way they're playing on the pitch. It's the actual manager himself. He is just not good enough for Arsenal or the Premiership in my eyes.
Tom, let me put something to you.
Go for it, mate.
Torreira at Uruguay obviously is a beast, right? Because Uruguay set up defensively, and their whole team from back to front are set up to primarily defend, and that's what makes Torreira look like such a good player. At Arsenal, we haven't got that. So even if we went, like I said with our defence the other day, even if we got Bobby Moore and Sergio Ramos, we'll still be conceding goals like anything because we haven't got midfield. I mean, Arsenal was as a structure, and we've had it for the last 10, 15 years. As a team, we can't defend. So whether we get that CDM on or that central defender, all of you, is it going to make a difference to us at all?
I think it does. I think it makes a difference in terms of sort of the small parts of the team. Overall, the difference is going to be that big. It's the small amount of gains that you make. You look at the likes of Jurgen Klopp, he wants to get small gains all over the pitch. I mean, this German guy hired a throwing coach. That's how he goes into the details of trying to get small gains. And if you improve players like a defensive midfielder, like a centre-back, there will be gains. However, I think it's always going to come back to the point where we're looking at the manager and thinking, is this manager playing the correct system for the players that we've got? Probably not. Is he using the players that we've actually got in the right way? No, he isn't. And Torreira's been a victim of that. I think if you do go out and you sign a top-class defensive midfielder and a top-class centre-back, this team does change. However, as you say, if you haven't got the coach put in place to teach these players how to defend properly, you're never going to see an overall impact on the whole. Moving forwards, you'll come up against these teams that we're making individual mistakes against. It doesn't matter how hard you coach some of these players, they're still going to have errors in them. And that's why you need to gradually, ruthlessly improve on those players. Torreira is never going to be a world-class player, in my opinion. But he is that improvement that we've needed in the deepest midfield role. And I think he has improved us in that position that he's better than Coquelin. He's better than Denilson, if you go back that far. He's one of the best CDMs that we've had in a very long time at the club. And I think that we do sometimes are a little bit too critical of him because of how poor the system is around him.
I think that's big. I think that's a big shout, especially based on only 3 months that he's played football decently. But another thing as well. I know you're Tom. I don't think you're going to agree with me on this one either. Lee might, and I don't know what Terry's going to say and what everyone in the comments is going to say. Rob Holding for me, not good enough. I didn't think he was in the 22-game unbeaten run where we didn't play anybody. I still don't think he is now. Hector Bellerin, I don't know what all the fuss is about. Sorry, he's just not going on Lickstein and Aisley Maitland Knowles, but. Is he? If he left and went to Italy at the end of the season, would he really stand out in our most accomplished right backs? For me, he wouldn't.
Listen, I'm jury's out on Holding. Got to say that. I said that before last season. I think he's okay, but is he going to be what we really want? I don't think so. I think we need a more of a demanding and commanding central defender. But listen, I thought Hector done all right at Leicester, considering that was his first game back from long-term injury. I thought he'd done okay, worked hard. So I'm going to say that let him get back to fitness, and then we'll see how he goes there. So I think you've been a little bit harsh on him there. He was doing well last season until we got injured, to be fair. So where I slightly do agree with you on the Holding one, I'm not so much on the Bellerin. I think Bellerin has also shown proper qualities of leadership and everything over these last few games as well, which listen, Hector Bellerin is showing us leading qualities, leader qualities. That just shows you how bad our leadership players are if he's the beacon of it, if you like, And as far as players concerned, listen, our next 2 games are against the 2 bottom teams in the league. If they cannot get 2 wins against them, then you can look at the players and you can look at the manager. Something's not quite right if you can't beat the 2 bottom teams in the league in consecutive weeks. Emery has really been given a lifeline here with these 2 games here because, well, I think so because I really do because I can't see why they got rid of him. I don't see why they've waited. I think they're more so hoping that he turns it around than believing. And I think that he's got 2 games to get it. If he doesn't win on Saturday, I think then he's got to resign himself personally. But if he gets to win on Saturday and he gets to win against Norwich, it sets him up to do well. That's what I think the board are looking at. But if you cannot beat Norwich and Southampton at home with the players that you've got on the show, all those players, then there's something seriously wrong at the football club.
Do you know what, Lee? I was trying to get on to Emery a bit late. Do you know why? It's actually coming back to me like post-traumatic stress disorder now. Honestly, I'm talking to you. I'm looking at you. I can see that. I can see Tom's lovely smile, and my blood started to boil. It's all coming back to me. It's all coming back. I mean, Bellerin for me, even last season, I think he's lost that pace. He used to what set him out from everyone else. Let's go on to bloody Ronald McDonald himself then. you know what? I found it very upsetting that some people could see how bad this manager is very early, and it takes a lot of fans a very long time. People's pain threshold, astonishingly, some people can really take pain, and some people can't. For me, I can't. Sorry, I can't. If I see it's going wrong, it's going wrong. I'll nail that to the wall. Tom, when did the roof fall off for you?
I don't think it was a start. I don't think it was the end of last season. I know that was for a lot of people the point at which they turned around and said that, nah, he should have got us top 4. But for me, that first season was, I don't like to call it this, but it was the quote that was used over and over again, which was basically it was a free hit because it was a transition season. We had the same manager for 22 years. And then we bring in this new guy. And I didn't really have any expectation of us reaching top 4 last season. However, he got us into the position where he gave us that hope, where we were in touching distance. We were in a Europa League final. And when you don't achieve that, psychologically, the impact on the fan base, when both of those are basically thrown away so pitifully in the way they were in the league and in the final, that has a massive impact. And I think that definitely was basically felt throughout the whole of the fan base. Going to this season, we thought with the basis that we had a really, really good summer, we signed our record signing, we signed defensive reinforcements. Maybe it wasn't the best defensive reinforcement in the world, I get that, but we still signed one. We still signed a centre-back, and we made a couple of signings in the youth sides as well, and Martinelli's obviously shown that really, really positive side. However, my point where I sort of tipped over was probably the Crystal Palace game. The Crystal Palace game for me was where it sort of tipped. A lot of people tipped before that at that point. But just seeing the clear disconnect, the clear aggravation that Xhaka caused in that game showed to me that this team is not together. There is no connection with the fans anymore. If anything, Emery has united the fans in the complete wrong way. Right. I mean, there used to be AKB and WOB everywhere, and now it's just Emery out, mostly for the whole of the fan base, and that's not what we wanted. And the biggest problem is that the higher-ups, and I know that we disagree in some aspects of where sort of the board are going with things, but
yeah,
overall,
we're going to come to that.
We'll get to that, yeah. But they aren't seeing it, sort of thing. They aren't seeing that a change is necessary. But yeah, the Crystal Palace game, I was there. It was horrible. I took a friend from work who was a Liverpool fan which is a big mistake for anyone to take a Liverpool fan to the game, but he wanted to come along, and it was horrifically bad.
I mean, my breaking point was Villa. We come off of Watford. We watched about 75 minutes of shit at the Emirates when we played Villa. I went to the toilet a couple of times, and everyone was saying how bad it was. Emery out. As soon as we won, everyone was saying how fantastic it was. It just really pissed me off. Lee,
listen, I think what really annoys me about it all is that the Arsenal fans take a lot of stick, what do you expect, and not being patient and all that. Most Arsenal fans give Emery a year. I certainly give him a year, and even though I had my reservations about the end of the run of last season, which, by the way, boys, was piss poor, and then the final itself, I had big doubts, but you still, part of you still wanted him to do well because that's what we was told to be patient, and I think that every Arsenal fan was. Yeah, lots of fans were saying the Baku game and blah 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 blah. I remember coming out of a game against Liverpool away, and fans were going mad at him then. But I still felt he deserved a chance. But for me, it was a Tottenham game. Going into that game against Spurs were in absolute meltdown. What was going on there? They was there for the taking, and he went defensively for that first half. And Spurs, by the way, were 2-0 up. Were a team that was in disarray. They hadn't won away from home for 8 months. It's now nearly 9-10 months. And we nearly blew it that day because of the negativity, the too much caution of the manager. Now, I don't think Emery's a bad manager, but I do believe that under Emery this season, the pressure of getting to top 4 and making it is too much for him. It's clouded his judgment. It's made him far too cautious, and it's, to me, is making him make mistakes. And when I think of that Spurs game, I'll come out of that game against Spurs fuming because I've never seen a worse Spurs side for 4 or 5 seasons, and we didn't. We could have won it in the end, but for the odds offside goal. But for me, he was too cautious, and that was it for me. I was done then, and I've not seen us realistically, boys, if we be honest, every single game this season we could have lost. And that is a fact, you know what I mean? And it's not been good to watch. It's been painful. You know, when I go to Emirates now, I call it the circus. That's what it is. It's an absolute. I'm going to the circus on Saturday because you just don't know what you're going to get. You're just going to get a load of players running around not knowing what they're doing. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm not looking forward to the game on Saturday because you just know what's. You know, listen, can you put a lot of money on it that Arsenal going to win on Saturday? They're playing one of the worst teams that I've seen, by the way, this season. But I can see Arsenal messing it up and coming out with a draw again. I really can, dropping more points.
I'll take loss, Lee. I'll take loss.
You can't take a loss as an Arsenal fan. You can't.
No, I don't want loss. Don't get me wrong. I don't want loss. But I'll tell you something. I won't feel as bad if at 7 o'clock they sacked him.
The only reason why I think fans say that is obviously because, like you said a bit earlier, Lee, is that if he does win against these two bottom sides, then you're going to get some of our deluded fans, unfortunately, that think he's on the rise again and that we're back.
Yeah, I get that. I do get that.
Do you know what I mean? We're going to go.
I understand that.
But and that's what the problem is for most of us fans that just want Emery out now. You know, I just don't know how much longer he can go on for. Unfortunately, I mean, you know, if he loses these two games or not even win, even if he draws them, in my eyes, we're going to be literally, I think, 5 points off of the bottom four. I mean, that is relegation form. How on earth the board or the chairman can sit there and say we're still going to back this manager? I have no idea with that.
I can't argue with that, Tel. I can't argue with that. I can't defend that. I cannot defend the board's decision by not outing this manager. The one reason I think at this moment in time, and I believe this sincerely, the one reason I don't think the fans are going into meltdown at this moment in time is because Spurs are below us. If Spurs were above us, which that could happen on the weekend, by the way, you know what I mean, with the total disarray that they're in, and if they're above us, I think then there's going to be a lot more hate. At the moment, it's a little bit pacified because we're above them. But that shouldn't be the way that it should be, but I think that it is. And, you know, I think then the board would become under a lot more pressure than what they're coming under now.
Yeah.
Tom, answer this one, mate. What Correct Gooners 21 saying? It says, Sonny, can you ask the panel where you think this squad will finish if we're Klopp or Pep managing us?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Professional as always. Top four, mate. I think top
Schoolboy
four.
era. Schoolboy era.
What a wanker. What a wanker.
Oh, here we go.
Some people say that's a good thing, muting yourself. Go on, carry on.
Right, that's you put back on the schedule about 5 weeks. Good stuff. I think top four, mate. I don't think that we challenge for the title with him with the current squad. You've got too many issues with the defence. You've got too many players that just aren't performing week in, week out. I don't think it's a change where I definitely think a change of manager would have an instant impact. I think that the form would pick up, but I don't think we'd be challenging for the title straight away with Klopp or Pep. We are that far in the deep of these issues around with our club in terms of how it's being run up top, in terms of how we're using our funds in the transfer market, because a lot of people turn around and I use the argument that, yeah, we spent a lot of money this summer, we really did, but we made back almost all of it with the player sales and the staggered payments and stuff like that. So I don't think that Klopp and Pep would come in and win us the title immediately. It might take a couple of seasons, but I think they would get us to the point where we could be up there on the heels. I'm not saying up there with City and Liverpool right now, but on the heels. I think a change would do that, but there's so many issues in the defence and the midfield that it would take a big overhaul to really get us up there.
Well, I'll give you an easier question, Tom. Right? Thunder Road is saying, how can Kathy Bill be Ian's mum when she looks younger and better looking than him?
Jesus. I'm not going to lie. Who is Kathy Bill?
Serious question, Lee, right? After, say we lost against Southampton, and you're pissed off, but you went home, you went to your lovely family, your missus are cooked, you've put on Sky Sport News, Emery's got sacked. Will you then start feeling a lot better about yourself?
I'm having a party. I told you. So the day that Emery gets sacked, so I'm having a party, champagne or anything. You know what I mean? Like, because it's what's best for Arsenal Football Club, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I want him gone now. It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? Because I'm not enjoying my football at the moment. I'm not enjoying the games. You know, people say to me like, "Oh yeah, it's all about we're going with your mates," which is fantastic, and I'm really enjoying it. But the ultimate for me is watching Arsenal win. That's what I go there for. And and if they're not going to win, I want to see them playing well, so that I have belief that the next time I go, there's a chance that we're going to win. What I'm seeing now is a chance that we're not going to win, and I'm not getting entertained. And I don't see like 2 weeks on from the Leicester game, I've got no confidence going into the Southampton game. What has changed my mind in that? What has the manager come out? Nothing. So I go into that game with a lot of apprehension. And, the only way that I'm going to enjoy Saturday is if Arsenal win. But then I'm going to be a little bit more wary if they've played like they did against Bournemouth and got a win. You know what I mean? Yeah. But this is the moment. I'm just desperate for Arsenal to win on Saturday, and that's the main thing. But I'd love to see Arsenal win 5-0 and show everybody that this is it's all changed. I just can't see it, boys, and that's the worry.
The difference is with that, Lee, even if we did win 5-0, we're playing, as you said, probably the worst team in the Premiership. That's the problem. Do you know what I mean? It's when we come up against half-decent opposition, and then Emery sort of shits himself and then goes in defensive mode. And look what happens when we go in defensive mode. We don't have no attacking football whatsoever. We have one pass in the box, and we can't defend to save our life. So, unfortunately for me, even if we do win 5-0, yes, we'd be happy for that day, but it still doesn't get over what's wrong fundamentally with the club, does it?
Lee Judges. I've found one person that Arsenal Realist actually does like on Arsenal Fan TV. So if you haven't subscribed to the Arsenal Realist, go and give him a follow. I support all YouTubers, even the ones who don't like us as well. I'll get on really well with the Arsenal Realist. And
I've seen a couple of his videos, and they're quite funny.
Mate, they're quality, mate. They're quality. That green screen has got his quality as well. I mean, I ain't got one. I might paint the wall green, I think.
He dug me out a couple of weeks ago, but it was quite good. So I'll let him off.
Going into that Southampton game, Tom. Obviously, none of us are that positive, right? I mean, I named this podcast tonight the Arsenal board, the cushiest job in football, right? They don't actually do it. What do they actually do?
I mean, it depends what you define as the board. Do you put Raul and Edu in the board setup, or are you talking to Chips and his crew?
I don't even class him as human, mate. The Chips, I don't even class him as human. I wouldn't even put him on the human level.
In terms of what they do, I mean, I don't know what Sir Chips really does other than try and argue with Raul about getting David O'Leary on side about thing that's come out recently in the news, but. I get what you mean about them being cushy. They are very, very comfortable. They're making their money. They will continue to make their money, and that will make them very, very happy. I just don't think that you'll ever. We can do as many podcasts as we like. We can go to as many games or boycott as many games, but they won't ever care about Arsenal in the same way that we do. And there is a point of realization where we have to know that they aren't going to care about the Arsenal as much as we do. And we know that if we were running the club, things would be very, very different. Very, very different. But it's all well and good saying what do they do, but there is only one way things would change, and that is if people stop going to games. But the bottom line is that isn't going to happen. There isn't going to be enough of an impact, in my opinion, that people will stop going to games. You will not see an empty Emirates ever because of the tourist side of things, of the people that are too diehard and care about the club to their very core. And I'm not saying the people that wouldn't go don't care about it that much, but there are people who care about the club equally, and that means that they will go to every single game, no matter their feelings and how much they are antagonised by what's going on. They will continue to go, and fair play to them. They're completely entitled to. But in my opinion, the only way you'll see change wholly is if you get an empty Emirates, and I just can't see that happening.
You know, Lee, when Arsenal knock, it's a completely different knock.
Yeah,
according to Raul, right? And we both said it. obviously you was listening to and I wasn't, right? I think Arsenal's transfer business has been shocking. I think especially the first year was all shocking. I think we just bought 5 average players, but obviously Guendouzi's been all right. But this summer, I'm not that excited. Pepe for me, if that was Mkhitaryan or Iwobi, he'll be getting slaughtered. I know players need time to adjust, but this geezer looks like he's playing with flip flops on.
Yeah. What was the question again? Sorry, I lost the thought there.
Basically, the board. I mean, Raul, what has he actually done? I mean, you said the transfer window was shit.
Listen, I criticised the transfer window at the beginning of the season. I got slated for it, you know what I mean? Because I didn't think it was that great. I didn't think it got the areas we want. We spent £70 million, whether it be in instalments and whatever, for a wide player that we didn't need. You know what I mean? And basically we haven't needed for the last couple of games because he's not played. We could have what we could have done was spent that money on a proper centre half, kept Iwobi for another season, and then gone and got the wide player what we needed. The other side of it is the manager come out and said that he wanted Zaha, who was the real deal, who's Premiership proven, ticks all the boxes that Arsenal needed. But what we went and got was his apprentice, and that is exactly what we got. Someone that potentially could be as good as Zaha, but nowhere near in the same league as him at the moment, and that's been proved. And it's cost us a lot of money. Also, you have to ask is, did Emery really want him? Because he doesn't seem to know how at this moment in time how he plays him. We needed a central defender. I'm talking someone. When you look at Arsenal, we need a centre midfield player and a top class centre half, and it would change us like it did with Liverpool when they went and bought a top class centre half and a goalkeeper. That's what it would do to us. But what we've got, we didn't do that. We didn't do that. We go and buy David Luiz, you know what I mean? Because we still haven't learned from our mistakes from Chelsea 2-3 seasons ago when we bought Petr Cech. So we continue. So someone else continues to do that. So not only do we give Chelsea more money, they continuously keep laughing at us. You know what I mean? A ridiculous decision. Decision.
I mean, the African Gooner saying, if you haven't checked out his podcast channel, go. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, go and check him out as well. And also check out Goonertalktv as well. It's African Gooner saying, are we going to get a centre back in January or not?
I don't think so. Just want to say to Matt, I'll take Patrick Vieira. By the way, I'll take Patrick Vieira tomorrow,
mate. I'll take Patrick Swayze if you weren't dead, mate. I'll tell you.
You know what I mean. But I would take Vieira at the moment. I would do. So let's just answer that question,
centre back. All of you. Do you think we'll get one in January?
I don't think he will. I don't think we'll do hardly anything in January.
Well, according to Ormstein, he said we're not going to make any signings in January.
It honestly wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if he just comes out, Emery, on his interview, if you can understand him, that is, and says, I'm happy with the team that I've got. The players are all playing fantastically well, and we're going to basically plod on and get through this season and be in the top 4. Because for me, Emery and at the moment the board are just yes men. That's all they are. They're just all sitting there on their salaries, doing their job and just being told what to do. And obviously the Cronkies are just using it like they're drug baron and just rinsing all the money, cleaning it dry and doing whatever they want in America. Because that's what it feels like to me.
Tom.
Yeah, centre backs is. I mean, even in signing things in January, I can't see us. You know what it was like last season. It was pitiful watching week on week, day upon day, the news coming out and the fact that we only could afford to bring someone on loan. And the person we brought in on loan played, 10 minutes?
Yeah,
And that was about it. It's not a time. We know that Arsenal, we know that Raul said that he doesn't like the January transfer window. It seems like whoever's involved with Arsenal doesn't like the January transfer window. But it's a shame because it's a really, really effective time to sign players. You're in a situation where teams that are around you are pretty. If they're doing better than you, they're pretty much set. You look at Leicester. I can't see them making too many signings in January because their team is gelled. It's perfect as it is. You look at Liverpool, can't see them making any too many changes. City will go out and make changes. They're already being linked with the 2 Leicester centre-backs because they know that they're in a catch-up race now to Liverpool. And to be honest, I don't see them doing it. But they know they've got to go out and make changes, and they will, because they're a team with the mentality that they want to go out there and they're winners, and they will do whatever they need to do to go out and do that. And that means going out and making signings in the areas that they need. Laporte's got injured. That's happened. They're going to go out and sign maybe Soyuncu or Evans from Leicester, and that will probably happen. Arsenal are the complete opposite. We look at things in a financial way where we're penny pinching everywhere we can, and we're not going to make that signature. And it's a huge shame because there's the opportunity there that we could push ourselves into the top 4 if we signed a centre-back, if we signed another defensive midfielder to back up the players that we already have. Even if we kept this manager, I would be confident with 2 players of top-class form in those positions would mean that we would get into that top 4 race a lot more than we are right now, in my opinion. Please tell me I'm wrong.
You are wrong, mate. Unfortunately, unfortunately, mate, you are, because it does. As I said, it doesn't matter if we got Ronaldo and Messi. With the way that Emery plays and the way he sets up the team, for me, he's just scared to play on any team whatsoever. He's just got no confidence whatsoever of going out and looking at a team and thinking, even like Southampton this weekend, like everyone's saying. He's got no confidence whatsoever of going out.
Terry, don't you think it's more? Don't you think that's more the reason? Not that he's a bad manager because he thinks the players are shit. He might think the players are not good enough.
No. As I said, I don't think. I think even if he had Ronaldo or Messi in his team right now with Van Dijk as his centre back, I really do not believe that he thinks he can go out and beat a team convincingly. If you look at all his teams, even when he was with Villarreal, and his record, apart from winning Europa League 3 years, there's nothing there. PSG, anyone can go there. Any manager can. Steve McClaren could have went there and won that 3 years on the trot. You know what I mean? Any manager can go to them teams, Real Madrid, Barcelona. You can go to them teams, buy any player that you want, and that's it. But when you go to someone like ourselves and that, that's never going to happen. So it's just proving what a manager he is.
I don't know. I don't know. Do you know what? Arsenal got me so confused at the moment. I think you could put Alex Ferguson in charge, right? With our back 4 and our midfield, I still think we'd be shit. What do you reckon, Lee?
No, listen, these players are not shit. Exactly. Let's get this right. They're players.
They're going to do a good job of convincing us that they are, Lee.
Well, they are, but they're professional footballers that have been coached since they was 8 years of age. So they've obviously got to have something to be where they are. You know what I mean? If you've ever been involved in playing in professional football or going through it and all that, the talent is, it's unbelievable. The standard is unbelievable. But what you've got is when you play up against another team that has got just as good as players. And the fact of the matter is, it needs coach. You need to be coached, and you need to know how to win games of football. I don't think he knows how to coach a team to win a game of football at the moment. I think it's all too cautious. Yeah. He's not prepared to play the free. If I was a Emery or a manager of that, I would look at anything of my sort. Whether you go back to Alex Ferguson or Arsene Wenger or whoever you want to go back to, when you've got a front 3 as good as what we've got, then play them, and then pivot off of that, work off of that from there. But what he's doing is he's leaving one out, bringing another one in, putting one out on wide. He doesn't really know his top 3. And people go on and go, well, why did he want Zaha? Well, he wanted Zaha because he's a naturally wide player. And I think that he's putting Aubameyang in the natural wide position, and he's not a natural wide player, So he's got the problem is there, and then of course you've got the problem is we can't, because of the fan base and everything at the moment. I can't leave Lacazette out, and you can't leave Aubameyang. So he's trying to cater, and it's not working. But then you've got to coach players to do better things. But also you have to ask these players: are they prepared to do the work rate and put the shifts in? That I see people like Sterling doing the other day in the game against Liverpool, where they're 3-0 down, he's working his socks off. I don't see Aubameyang doing that. I don't see him doing that. No. I don't see Pepe doing that. I certainly don't see Mesut Ozil doing that. So these are the problems that you've got. So what you've got is that are the players are prepared to be coached, or are they just sort of saying, well, we're not quite happy with this or whatever? There's too many questions around the team, the players, and the manager. If You get someone in that's strong, he's going to say, right, this is my... When has he got a team that's played the same consistent team week in, week out? Every week it changes. You know, if you have a look at Liverpool, it's basically the same team that plays week in, week out. Maybe a little tinker here or there. But with Emery, it's 3 or 4. It'll be another 3 or 4 changes come Saturday. And I think that he's not too sure of what players he's got. He's not too sure of the tactics. But also, ultimately, these players should be able to be coached and defend. You can't... The way we defend 7 players around 1 player, you know what I mean? That ain't all Emery's fault. That is not all Emery's fault. You know, someone along the line's got to take responsibility and say, oh, look, we sit in here and we see out the game and we defend properly. But there's a lack of that. There's a lack of leadership. There's a lack of so many different things in the team. And yes, it does start with a manager. And you've got to be brave enough to say, do you know what? This is my system. This is how I'm going to play it, and go through it. Liverpool will have a little blip, but I don't. When they do have their little blip, I will. You know, Klopp will continue to play the same way, continue to play the same system, because you know what? He believes in that system. You have a look at Pep. He believes in the system that he plays, and whether they're winning or losing, he plays it. I don't think Emery believes in the system that he's playing, whether it's players or not. But listen. He's had long enough to sort out a system and the players to play in that position. You know what I mean? You look at someone like Brendan Rodgers, who's had half the time. They've got an identity. They know exactly how they're playing, and you can see they're being coached. And that's the difference between the manager and the difference between Arsenal and Leicester. That is a difference.
Lee, I said it at Brighton I said it when we messed up against Brighton at Emirates last season, right? I said these players are uncoachable, right? Because you saw them the other day. They're playing their back 3, right? And they're defending a free kick, and they've let a player run right through them and just get on the end of their head up. It's basic defending, what you'd get at in Marshes, right?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, it's not that they're uncoachable, because they cannot be uncoachable because they're professional footballers. Saying that's my point. The point is they're not accountable, because if you continue to do that, right, you should be dropped. But these players, like David Luiz, has made mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. He's played every single game.
Yeah, Lee,
accountability.
Lee, the answer to that is, right, someone could have 1,000 driving lessons, right? They could drive a car. It doesn't mean they're not going to crash into anything, no? You know, that's what Arsenal's defence is like. It doesn't matter that they are getting coached, but whether it sinks in or not is a different story.
I think the players are scared to say anything against Emery, because if you look at, for the simple fact is, the Ozil situation. Ozil tried to tell him that, you know what I mean, it's not working and he doesn't like the way he's playing, it ain't suiting the Arsenal way and things like that. And then you just get completely frozen out. That's what will happen to Aubameyang, Lacazette, anyone else that will rise up to Emery. That's exactly the fact that will happen. The simple part about it is Emery is not good enough. It's nothing to do with the players. It's nothing to do with anything else. He doesn't know how to coach these players. He won't be, even if he was at Man City, I still think that he will play the same way as he's playing now, even with the players that Man City's got. It doesn't matter. Sorry, Tom.
No, I was going to say, let's play devil's advocate for a second then. So he comes in after obviously PSG. I mean, you say what you like about PSG. You still have to win it. And there was one season where he actually didn't, when Monaco won the league. But he got Sevilla those 3 Europa League titles, right? That it's not an easy thing to do that.
You've got to be lucky, Tom, to do that. It's not a skill, Tom, is it, to win a cup competition, is it? This Europa League specialist. I've never heard so much rubbish in all my life. A Europa League specialist. I've never.
I wouldn't call him a specialist. I won it 3 times. I think it's the team that he had at Sevilla with the likes of Kevin Gamera and Carlos Bacca, and how he turned those players around into the team that he had. I mean, you just look at what happened to Sevilla after he left. They took on Jorge Sampaoli, they took on Berizzo, and they've gone downhill. It's only now that they're starting to recover, ironically, under Lopetegui, who's the guy that failed at Real Madrid so spectacularly, that they're actually trying to turn things around now. It's taken a while, and that was because Emery had gone. Now, if you play devil's advocate here, and you're saying that you can't blame the players whatsoever, if you're employed at this club, and I was chatting the other day about the comments from Mkhitaryan at Roma recently about Emery, which I thought was, whilst I agree with his comments, whilst you're employed at the club, I don't really think you should be making comments like that. If you're in a team, right, and you're the manager, and you don't like the guy that's coaching you, are you really willing to sacrifice your commitment every single game that you play? Are you really willing to sacrifice the 90 minutes that you put in? And we're sitting there complaining, quite rightly, about a manager that's clearly tactically inept in a lot of areas. But does that mean that we should hold our hands up and be like, well, he's not a great tactician, he's not a great manager, but does that mean the players have to get off scot-free? Because I think they're doing him a disservice, getting paid a lot of money and not putting in 100% effort week in, week out, which is what they should do, whether or not they like the manager.
I know what you're saying there, Tom, but obviously I would imagine all of us here have played football at some stage of our lives and careers or whatever. But it's like, you know, I was like a left winner or a right winner. But if you put me in defence, no matter how much I will try, I won't be able to play there, even though I can play football. But I won't be able to play, and that's what he seems to be doing to each one of our players. He seems to be playing them in positions that are not good enough and that they can't play. I mean, you look at Aubameyang, he can't play out on the left wing, like Lee was saying earlier on. He's a forward. Lacazette was out on the right wing against Leicester. Torreira was our forward player, our most forward player against Leicester. You have Granit Xhaka when he's playing like a sweeper role instead of defensive midfielder when he's playing. You know, when you've got 3, 4, 5 players in your team out the 11 that are playing out of position, then it's obvious that it's all going to fall apart anyway during that 90 minutes. And if he keeps persisting to play these players there, then obviously yourself are going to be down. You ain't going to want to play, and then everyone else starts doing that around you. So it's not just about the one player; it's the whole team doing it. And as much as they can say in the dressing room and, you know, the backroom staff and all that, yeah, we like him, we want him to. It's all fake. You can tell that. You know what I mean? You can tell by the way that they go about on social media and liking stuff that they want him out and all things like that.
I agree with what you're saying, Tel, but one thing, doesn't matter what system you play, where you know, if you play football, there's no, the one thing that you should be doing is working, giving it 100%. And I'm seeing teams outwork us at the minute. I see Sheffield United now, you know, well drilled, well coached, but also working harder than our so-called players. And that's the thing that gives me the hump. And yes, why I blame Emery for a lot of the things going on. These players cannot be just sort of brushed aside and let alone. You know what I mean? Pulling out of tackles. I've seen that in the last couple of games. That's not Emery's fault. That's just that, you know, players are not committed to the cause. Now, whether that causes Emery or not, the long run is the thing. Is that they're wearing an Arsenal shirt, red and white shirt. They've got the cannon on their chest, and for me, that's enough. The very least is you give it your all. And certain players in that team are not giving their all, and I don't blame Emery all for it, even though I feel that he's a lot of the problem.
Do you know what, Lee? Do you know what? I'll actually go one step further than that. I think another reason Aubameyang is such good friends with Arsenal Fan TV and Troops, because when his goals are going to dry up, everyone's going to start turning on him as well because he hasn't signed a contract. So he's trying to get some of the fan base on side. As far as I'm concerned, he don't put a shift in. You know, he's there to tap the goal in, but he don't put a shift in at all.
No, well, listen.
He ain't world class.
It winds me up when, you know, when people turn around and say, "Oh, but he's not there to tackle; he's there to score goals." You know what I mean? The top players that I've known all through the years, going from Ian Rush down to Suarez to whoever you want, like, all worked hard. You know what I mean? So they get their goals, but they contribute in other areas. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, sorry, Till.
Go on, Lee. Go on, mate. Go on.
No, unfortunately, if Aubameyang doesn't score, he doesn't contribute.
That's right.
That's a fact. But why he's scoring, and he's got the record that he has at the moment, it holds up. But if you're going to go and win titles, you're going to go and win and get into the top 4 and consistently over a season win games of football. You're going to need more than that than just being a goal scorer. You've got to work hard. Thierry Henry weren't always at it on his day, but he'd work hard. You know, there were other times when he was a little bit lazy, but you'd forgive him. But this moment in time, you know, you've got Aubameyang. Let's be honest about him. You know, he is a very, very good goal scorer. His hold-up play is average. It's average, you know what I mean? Like, you know, everybody says, "Oh, we miss Lacazette because we haven't got his hold-up play." But if Aubameyang was a good hold-up player, we wouldn't miss Lacazette. You know, his work rate ain't very good. You know, his personality and his enthusiasm and everything there is top class. But,
you know
I don't want to start digging out Aubameyang because, at the end of the day, he is a goal scorer and he is scoring goals. Whether he signs his contract or not, at this moment in time, week in, week out, he is, if it wasn't for him and his goals, we would be in the bottom three at this moment in time. So I'm not going to slag him off. But, if you're going to go on to the next, someone said on a thing the other day, who would you take? There was a poll on Twitter. Who would you take out of two players you could take? And somebody said, I'd take Vieira and Solskjaer. I wouldn't take Henry because we've got Aubameyang. You know what I mean? Like
not even the same breath. Not even the same breath.
They're even deluded about Aubameyang. He's not in the same class.
Mate, I don't even know if Aubameyang is in the same class as Van Persie. Never mind Henry.
No, Van Persie was different class. People go on about Van Persie because of the way he left and all that, but he was for a couple of seasons that he played for us was fantastic.
If Van Persie didn't suffer with injuries,
I'm telling you this now, as an old school fan, I'm telling you that I'd take Ian Wright in his prime over Aubameyang any day of the week.
About that.
So would I.
I think that if we're going to talk about Aubameyang, there is a point we're saying that, Lee, I know that it annoys you when you say that he doesn't get the right opportunities or he's not there to tackle, and I completely understand that because, as you say, the top players chase the ball down, press the back line, force mistakes out of the defence. But throughout Aubameyang's career, that's not what he's been about. He was signed as a player from Dortmund. He didn't do that at Dortmund. He didn't do that at Saint Etienne when he was playing in a wider position. It's just not part of his game. I'm not going to criticise him. I'm not going to turn around and say that he's suddenly dropped in performance because he hasn't, because he's never done it. It's as simple as that.
It's the way it is, exactly.
It is. But we aren't playing the system which suits him. And as Terry said, we're forcing him out wide on the wing, which isn't to his strength. He can play that role to some extent. I mean, the goal that he scored against Burnley earlier on in the season showed that he can play that position to some extent, but we aren't playing the system. What's really annoying when you look at sort of the tactics and you look how much we condense the wide areas and then the little amount of crosses and balls into the box we actually make, it's ridiculous. We completely overflow or overload the wide areas and we just don't put any chances in. I don't know what it is, whether it's to do with fear or we're scared to make a mistake or if the players aren't making the right movements. But that is down to the system. And I think that whilst we can criticise Aubameyang all day for saying that he doesn't chase the back line, he's never done that. But at the end of the day, it is true to say that we aren't giving him enough service to really show what the guy can do.
I was going to say, the reason I brought Aubameyang into it, because I just want to make the point that no one is above criticism. I don't care how many goals they get.
No,
right?
No,
one, right? And as far as I'm concerned as well, if we never signed Aubameyang when we signed him, and instead of buying Mustafi and Xhaka, we went and bought two centre backs at that time. Even if we kept Giroud and Walcott, we'd have still been up there doing the same thing. Giroud and Walcott used to chip in with the same amount of goals. I mean,
well, we've not improved with Aubameyang in the squad.
We haven't. We've not
improved. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm not. Again, I think that he's been fantastic for us. You know what I mean? Someone just put in the chat that he's a world-class striker. He's not a world-class striker. He's a world-class goal scorer. There's a difference between a world-class goal scorer and a world-class striker. But at the end of the day, listen, I'm not. You're dead right what you're saying. When he plays bad, he's there to be criticised. When he plays well, he's there to be praised. On his day and when he's playing well, he's been fantastic. I look at the game against Spurs last season at home. I thought he was fantastic. But also, he's got the goal against Spurs that got us back in there. I'm a big fan of Aubameyang. Don't get me wrong.
No, so am I. But I like to always put. I want to put the other side of it because
can I ask you a question? Because I was asked this earlier on. You know what I mean? Sanchez in his prime played up front for 3 seasons, and I thought he was fantastic. Who would you have, Sanchez or Aubameyang?
Sanchez all day long, mate. That one geezer who gets you off your seat. I don't care. He had that bit of flair about him.
So realistically, he was brought in to replace Sanchez. Has he done that? They're the questions you've got to ask.
He's put more goals, hasn't he?
As good as Aubameyang is, if I'm really being truthful to myself, the striker out there that I really love watching is Vardy. Because of his work rate. His work rate that he does.
Want to come.
Yeah, well, he didn't want to come. But what I'm saying is his work rate and the way he defends his line. Do you know what I mean? He's the first port of call when Leicester are defending, and that's how we should. That's how we used to be when we went that season undefeated. You used to have to get past Omri and Bergkamp first, and then you had Perez and Lundberg and all the rest of them, and then Vieira. And you know what I mean? We used to defend from the front. Where we defend now, we don't defend until it's on our goal area.
Ironically,
tackling.
Ironically, we've got a player now that does that in Martinelli as well.
Yeah.
You look at that guy when he's on the pitch, he chases down the back line. He runs all day long. And the thing is that you look at players when they come into this system, you look at Danny Ceballos, right? That first game against Burnley at home, he lit the place up. The skills, the free movement, passing it around the pitch. Gradually, playing under Unai Emery's system, Ceballos has dropped in performance game upon game upon game because he's become more shackled, more reserved, told to play a role that he doesn't want to play.
Right point.
And it happens with players week on week on week. And just to go back ever so slightly when we're talking about strikers, if you'd have said that you could, I mean, the amount of times we used to say when we had Olivier Giroud and Theo Walcott as our most forward players during that period, and we were like, we need a 30-goal of season striker. We need a top-class striker. We signed Lacazette, who was banging in goals for Lyon in Liga. We then signed Aubameyang, who was banging in goals for Borussia Dortmund in the Bundesliga. I would, without hesitation, swap Lacazette and Aubameyang back for Olivier Giroud and Theo Walcott because we're not scoring anymore.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you as well.
Instead, invest the money in someone like Nicolas Sula from Bayern Munich, a top-class centre-back, and Rodri, who's gone from Atletico Madrid to Manchester City. If you bring in two positions that are going to be more of a benefit to you, we're not scoring any more goals. I'm fully well aware that Aubameyang and Lacazette are better than Lacazette and Giroud. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we're investing in the wrong areas. If we could buy the four of them, I mean, happy days. But we know that we can't do that. We just invest poorly and we invest in the areas that we don't need. And I mean, Masterson in the chat there says Sula is too slow. Well, I'm sorry, but Per Mertesacker is one of the slowest players that has ever played for this team. But defensive awareness on that German was unbelievable. And he was a fantastic defender in his own right. If he had a little bit more pace, he would have been great. But if you sign the right players in the right positions for the right team, you've got a better side overall.
There's a saying in football, and it's so true, is a striker is only as good as his service. Now, and I'll point this to Giroud. Giroud, when he played up front, we never got crosses in for him, so he wasn't as effective. Now we've got Aubameyang in, we're not feeding him the way that he should be fed, or Lacazette. You know, so this is the problem you've got. If you're going to play with Giroud up front, you've got to get wide boys and put crosses in. We never done that with Giroud, so he was a frustrated forward. You know, goes and plays for France, they play the way that he does, and you know he's a World Cup winner. But like that is something that Arsenal have never done. You know, listen, as you can say, if you've got players like Lacazette and you've got Aubameyang up there that I think are going to guarantee you 20, 30 goals. So let's say 40 goals a season between the pair of them, maybe even more. Like, you know, it's no good if you're conceding 45. Is what we're doing at the moment. We're on minus on after 12 games. So basically, what we're doing up front, we're counter-attacking it with our poor defending. We have got to improve on our defending. We've got to make proper signings at the back, and we've not done it for the last. When was the last time we had a decent central defender? The last time we had a decent defender was Sol Campbell.
Yeah, but we didn't. Lee, up front we've got up front we've got a couple of eagles, right, and we're treating them like vultures, living off scraps, right?
Yeah.
But
good saying that. Good saying that. Like
I just made it up. I justified myself. better one-liners than Arnie. But the thing is, you say that we don't create enough chances. We don't. But the Liverpool's front three make things happen. When have Arsenal's front three make things happen with their press? They don't press. I
mean, like, let's be honest, they can't press or they can't do that because when they pick the ball up, they're halfway in our own half. So by the time they get past the halfway line, there's 5 people around one person, and then the attack is gone. Because that's how deep we are as a team right now.
I just want to shout out Flo Zanelli. Thanks very much for the super chat. Big up, Sonny. We watched a Europa League game with last season in a VIP box with the AFTV crew. Top lads, much respect. Big hello from Australia. Big hello to yourself. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your donation. But the real top lads are here. It's me and Lee.
We watched it. I'll tell you, didn't we, Tom? We went to a bar last year and watched that. It was the most horrendous thing I've ever done.
Oh, the Europa League final.
Oh, God,
I left about 60 minutes and had to go.
I was watching it.
I had to go in a different place because for those that were there, we went to, I think it was called Club Aquarium. Was that what it was?
Yeah.
And there was
Club
basically, they
shit.
put on this big projection, big screen like out in there. And there was a little TV in the corner.
In the
that was about-
VIPs, wasn't it?
Yeah, with the VIPs, which was about 20 seconds ahead because they were streaming it in a place where you paid a ticket to go watch the final. They were streaming it online and people were watching a TV in the corner that was about 20 seconds ahead. It was honestly a joke. It was about as efficient as our board is right now. It was absolutely horrific.
All right. So what Arsenal we're going to get coming back then? On Saturday.
More of the same, mate. More of the same. I
can't see anything changing. Can you, boy? I can't. You know what I mean? I hope that it can do. You know, people are saying that in the chat about Ceballos. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he seems to be getting a raw deal because no one's turning around to him and saying, "Oh, he needs time to settle in," like it is with Pepe. Pepe gets all the, "Oh, he needs time to settle in" and all that. Well, he's come from a different country, and you know, I mean, I look at him and I think that he's a good player, but I agree that he's not being played properly, as Tom said earlier on. You know, get these players playing, get the Ceballos playing, get the top, our better attacking players playing. And if this manager can't do it in the next couple of games against these two teams, then he's got to go. And I expect to see the likes of Ceballos playing. I expect to see the likes of Ozil playing. I expect to see all of our top players playing.
Well, let's be honest. We're all sitting here now. It's what, Monday night. We've got another 4 nights before, you know what I mean, Saturday comes. We'll all probably, you know, get a little bit excited. It's only Southampton.
That'd be Friday, mate.
Well, you know. You know what I mean? We'll all be saying, you know what I mean? It's only Southampton, the bottom of the league. We're going to easy win. We're great at home. We're so attacking. Blah, 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 blah. And it'll come an hour before kick-off. You'll see that team line up and you'll be going, what the bloody hell?
Yeah, exactly.
Bloody hell was this team? And the thing that really pisses me off the most, right? I've said this a few times on, obviously, Sonny's show is that it pisses me off that the team only comes out an hour before kick-off. Because if that come out at 9 o'clock in the morning, I bet you
half will go.
even go.
What a great point.
Yeah, great point.
Because they won. Let's be honest. You look at that team, you think, oh, you know what's going to happen straight away. We're going to be too defensive. We're going to fuck about with it on our goal area. There's going to be concede an early goal, and we'll be on the back foot. And then, it is. It's just the same old. And it'll be, you know what I mean, Lacazette or Aubameyang will be on the bench. Same as probably Tierney, same as Holding, same as Ceballos, same as Ozil. And it'll all start again from Saturday after 5 o'clock.
Do you know what? I think one of the most evident things going right is Xhaka's been out and our player ain't got any quicker. So everyone's blaming Xhaka for slowing it down and hasn't made no difference at all in being in or out. And also Ozil coming in, there's still no creativity. So it doesn't matter who you put in and who you put out. It's definitely their instructions, you know. Tom, how would you play Ceballos? How would you get the best out of Ceballos? What is his position? He's not a number 8 for me.
Well, it's ironic because, I mean, he's not a number 8 in our system, but he's a number 8 when he plays in a system that he thrives in, which if you looked at him when he was at Real Betis, he played in a really, really good system with players around him that played a quick passing game. Someone in the chat, I think it was Stan, said about how he chases the ball too much. And I've replied to Stan saying the fact that the thing is that he chases the ball a lot because we're so slow at moving the ball around the pitch that he wants to get involved with play. And because we're so slow at passing the ball intricately like we used to, ironically, under our previous manager, that I think Ceballos would have really suited an Arsene Wenger system. And trust me, I wanted the Frenchman gone, like a lot of people did. I wanted him to move on. But at the end of the day, Ceballos suits a system that is quick in passing, creates chances, finds the through balls into the box. If you watch the game that he played for Spain, not in this international break, but the one before the last one, Ceballos into the last international break was playing fantastic football. He was passing in behind. He was finding the likes of Oyarzábal. He was finding, it was in the under-21 tournament as well during the summer. He was excellent. He was so good. But because we're so slow at moving the ball, he chases the ball a lot more. And because we're not playing a system that suits the Ceballos, which should be as a number 8, but I get what your point saying, Sonny. He isn't a number 8 in this system under Unai Emery. He really isn't. But in the system that suits him best, he is a number 8, and he actually suits playing next to someone like Torreira, and even with someone like Ozil in front of him. You could play a very attacking midfield system with Ceballos and Ozil playing some intricate passing plays and playing some nice styles, using the wing, but actually creating chances. But under Unai Emery's system, which plays with fear and plays with a lack of chance creation, Ceballos just doesn't work in the same way.
I mean, for me, I'll try and use Ceballos in the Santi Cazorla role, really.
100%.
Exactly.
I also think, though, boys, that with that, Guendouzi causes us a few problems because he's more of a free up and down, box to box. I think if the one criticism I've got of Guendouzi is that he lacks a little bit of discipline because he's young. He works really, really hard. You know what I mean? So he needs to just. I know that sounds silly when I've criticised players for not working hard, but he works too hard sometimes in wrong areas.
Lee, save that point. I want you to come on to that. I want you to explain that more fully. I just want to read out Flo's super chat. Big up Lee Judges too. I love his work. It speaks from the heart. Hope to meet him when I come down to watch the Gunners again. Hopefully with a new coach. Big up Lee Judges, because big up yourself, Flo, first for the donation and watching us. But big up Lee Judges, because it's the first time, indirectly or directly, I've got any money out of him.
Fight for my feet tonight, like
you know what? The higher you go up in the world, you know, look at all these celebrities, all these famous people. None of them carry their wallet, and everyone died in the best places. At least one of them.
He's half pint.
Do you know what? Guendouzi for me. You know what? Now we're gonna have a different opinion with everyone, I think, because Guendouzi for me, I'll play him further forward personally. I think defensively he's absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
You know, he don't track runners. You know, he's just as bad defensively as Xhaka is and the rest of them. But the only thing is he's got more heart than others. You know, that's his differentiating point for me. But for me, should he be playing every week? Not a hope in hell. He shouldn't be playing every week for me. How do you boys think?
I agree with you. I don't. It's annoying because whenever we see the lineup and you see him playing with Torreira in the system, well, the thing is, it doesn't work because he's not playing in the right way. In my head, when I see that lineup, I'm like, okay, Torreira is going to be sitting deep, Guendouzi is going to be in front of him, and then either Ozil, Ceballos, or Willock is going to be next to him. But that doesn't happen because I see Torreira up in the D of the opposition's box, and Guendouzi's the deepest player back. Even when Xhaka was in the team, Guendouzi was sitting deeper than Xhaka most of the time, and it meant that he sort of was quite out of position. He's young, so he's I'll use the word frivolous because he makes really odd decisions at times, and he passes the ball to opposition players because he panics. But he shouldn't be put under that amount of pressure because he shouldn't be in that position.
Do you know what? I'm going to be a little bit controversial. I'm a big Guendouzi fan, but I would like to see him left out of one of these games to see what if it could be a little bit more free flowing. Like, you know what I mean? I think he's a very, very good player, but as I said, I just think he just lacks a little bit of discipline in a rigid formation. You know, so I just want to. But listen, I think he causes Emery problems because he's the best out of a bad bunch, if you know what I mean. He has been playing really well this season, like, you know. But the last couple of games, I just think he's just gone off point a little bit. And I think that you know, he's only 20, 21 years of age, and I think, like, you know, sometimes he just needs to just have a little bit of a break. And I would like to see him come out of there. By the way, Xhaka scored tonight, so you know,
sign him up.
You know,
what a player! What a player!
A new sign, isn't it? But what the one good thing about it from Xhaka's point of view is that since he's been out of this team, sometimes it's best not to be playing, and then you can realise that it ain't all him. And I think that over these last couple of games, there's been no improvement since he's been out of the side. It's not got any better. So is he the problem? You know what I mean?
You know what it's like with our fan base. Arsenal are so shit. Our players improve when they're not playing. You know.
Well, that's it. He's you know, the less time he plays, the more we get more money for him in January.
Look, give him another 6 months. The fan base will say he's world class if he don't play for another 6 months.
Just quickly, for me, he is totally a useless player. Just in my opinion, he's been with us for 4 years now, and he's. You probably can put on one hand how many good games he's had. For me, 4 years is enough time for a player to be playing in your team, so he should be sold anyway. But getting back to Guendouzi, for me, going forward, he's absolutely brilliant. He's frightening. He wears his badge on his arm, you know what I mean, and on his sleeve. He looks great going forward, and it's everything you want in a player. But unfortunately, going the other way, going backwards, he needs to learn. He needs to learn more. He's so slow getting back when a player goes past him. When he goes up for an header, he gets brushed off the ball too easily, and he needs to track players back. But otherwise, apart from that, I do like Guendouzi. But
just so to cut your point, Sel, sorry about that. Just be conscious of time. We've gone for about an hour and 10 minutes. How long do you want to go on for till we wrap it up, boys?
I can go till half past if you want to, mate. It's up to you.
Lee, how about you?
Yeah, I'm all right for up past, yeah.
All right, cool. That's brilliant. I didn't want to take liberties with you, especially I didn't want to overuse you like Saka.
The thing with Xhaka, we'll go back to Xhaka, like, you know what I mean? I'm not his biggest fan. You know, the reason he has done nothing this season differently to he has over the last 3 seasons. But the reason that he's got more stick this time around because he's got a target on his back with the name captain on it. That's why things have changed with him, like, you know. But I watched him against Liverpool last season, who are one of the best teams in Europe. He was absolutely outstanding, but he doesn't produce that performance week in, week out, and that is my problem with him, like, you know. But listen, again, he's one of those players. If you're going to go on and try and get into the top 4 and win things, he's not the man, is he? He's not, you know, he's not going to get you there, like, you know. So you could say that about most of our midfield players, if I'll be honest.
I mean, speaking about that's a good point, actually, Lee. Who is that? What's our best midfield? All of you. Tom, go on.
It's a tough question because in my head I know that our best midfielders, but
not necessarily on paper. What actually work?
In this under Emery, is that what you're in? Under Emery, what's our best midfield?
Well, the geezer's here to stay now, isn't it? So
I think if you're playing with Emery's very passive system, I don't think you can play with 2 attacking-minded midfielders. In a perfect world, it would be for me Torreira, Sebastian Ozil. But I personally think under Emery, it has to be Torreira, Guendouzi, and then probably Ozil. In that way, I really like Guendouzi, as you boys were talking about. For me, the Xhaka situation is what it is. We sort of move on from it. I can't see him playing again. Tell, out of interest, when you were talking about Xhaka and you saying you couldn't name a good performance on one hand, what for you would constitute a good performance for a player playing in that position? Because for me, it's very hard to sort of identify a standout performance for a player playing in that role.
I think for me, what it was is that obviously when Torreira first come the beginning of last season, was it? It was last season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like and just seeing a player throwing himself about in literally everything that was coming his way. Even while he was on the floor, he's trying to red the floor. He's trying to get the ball. Do you know what I mean? He was bitty. I've never ever seen that of Xhaka. Never. I've never seen him sort of go in and put an hard tackle in like Vieira used to do and Gilberto used to do. Do you know what I mean? When he does that, he goes in to actually foul a player so we can get back. Do you know what I mean? For me, he's just too slow. There's not enough energy there. He's just quite. He's like a luxury player. He stands there and he just wants to spread the ball about, and there's just no oomph about him or anything. And every time he gets the ball, for me, he seems to want to go backwards. I don't know if that's because of the way Wenger used to play, and obviously Emery wants him to play, but there's just no positivity about him for me when I watch it. I just don't get excited about him one little bit, unfortunately.
Do you know,
in an horrible way. It's just obviously my own opinion.
Do you know what, Phil? Last season when he played the Emirates against Liverpool, and that was arguably Torreira and Xhaka's best game, I'd say, even though we didn't win the game.
Yeah.
Thing is, when we don't press as a team, you can highlight all players for looking like they've got a lack of effort and they're not very good. But when we actually press as a team, they all look a million times better than what they are now. It's just that mentality they've got.
Yeah.
It's like now we have to wait till we go a goal down, or till the team come back at us till we raise our game again. That doesn't work.
I mean, how many seasons now? Let's be honest. How many seasons now do we come out in that first half and it's so lackluster. It's so disappointing. It's like, you know what I mean? We haven't even left the dressing room, and we have to wait until the second half before we see a little bit of a performance. And that's happened for the last, not just with Emery, that's happened in the last sort of couple of years with Wenger and all. I just don't. It's got to be the mentality. It's got to be.
All of those midfielders, by the way, are no good at the moment unless we sign a proper holding midfield player in January, and then they can pivot off of that, and you can take anyone from there. But at this moment in time, you have not got a pivot so that these players. So you could, if you had a Vieira or a Petit playing at Arsenal now in their day, like, then you could play Ceballos and Guendouzi as a two. You could play Ozil and Ceballos. You could play Guendouzi and Ozil. At this moment in time, you cannot play any of those midfielders together because you've not got the right person in that defensive midfield role.
I don't know, Lee. We had a midfielder, Wilshere, Ramsey, and Ozil. Well, they're not exactly the most physical, right? We never really had a proper CDM then, but our football's a lot better. Our midfield was better.
Yeah, we played really well, but we never got where we wanted to go, did we? I'm with you, say. I'd go Guendouzi, Ceballos, and maybe Willock would be my three. You know what I mean? Like, Willock's someone that I've got a lot of time for. Last couple of games, he's been poor though. But I would go for the younger players, all of them in their low 20s, because we've got to look to the future, and build them up. That's my opinion. But people might disagree with that. But for me, I feel now it's give the younger players a chance to impress.
I think they need to be taken out now. Not so much Willock, but I think Saka is not pulling up trees now. Reece Nelson hasn't kicked on at all.
No, that's what I say. This is why haven't they all kicked on? Like, because look at Willock. I thought when he first came into the side, he looked really, really good, but because Emery suppressed him and took him out, blah blah blah, he looks like he's lacking a little bit now. We've got no one like Willock in the side that could score a goal like he did at Liverpool the other week, that takes on a few players and has a shot. We haven't got no one that does that. I worry about anybody that comes in if they're going to be subdued, suppressed under this current regime,
I never really got and I don't mean to come across sounding harsh, but I never really got the hype around Saka when he came into the team. I was most confused about it because I saw how much Martinelli was smashing it in the Europa League.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I was confused that Saka maintained his place in the Premier League side, even though Martinelli, who himself self-proclaimed, prefers playing in a wider area, even though he was doing really well as a central striker. I was surprised that we stuck with Saka, who I thought was continuously quite poor in a couple of games where he never really had an end product about him. The game against Frankfurt was, for me, the pinnacle of what we've seen from him, where he scored a great goal, great assist, really good. I'm not going to take anything away from that performance, but Martinelli kept on pushing forward and improving and showing in games that he would not only chase the back line, but his delivery was good, his composure in the box was good, and he just never really got that chance. And Saka kept on being persisted with, to the point, similar to Iwobi under Arsene Wenger. Iwobi was never taken out of the limelight early enough, and eventually he just crashed. And seemingly the same thing has happened much quicker to Bukayo Saka. And I just felt that Martinelli should have been given that little bit of push into the first team ahead of Saka at some point.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Tom, you know what? I can't believe how much I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, Twitter's very different, mate.
I think it's just a great point. Saka did start off very, very well, but listen, he's 18 years of age. To be mixing it in the circles is big up to him. But I do feel that there was a time when that again, Martinelli deserves a chance. How much more has Martinelli got to do to get a chance? Exactly. You know what I mean? Scoring goals. We're lacking energy. We want someone out on the wide. You know what I mean? And but maybe Saturday be the time. But
that's why I put another fan. We had certain fans, even some that come on Sonny's show, that was just saying that the game is just a results game. Now I used to say to them, now if it's just a results game and you just want us to win 1-0. Then why do you want Pepe in and not drop him for Martinelli that's scoring goals for fun? Because surely, if it's just a results game, then you just want someone in there to score a goal so we win.
And chase the back line and do the dirty work, and that's what gets you those 1-0 wins. And
ironically, what is it about for you lot then? Is it performance or is it result? For me, it's performance.
It's both, because I think
it's the whole package for me.
Yeah, we're not playing the way that we're playing. Even when we were picking up points, like the game against Burnley and the Villa game, like even though we were picking up points in those games, it just wasn't entertaining. It wasn't fluid. It wasn't good to watch. It wasn't what we pay the highest Premier League ticket prices in the league for. It's nothing that's inspiring. And we went for a manager in Arsene Wenger that really tried to get something out of the team. And whilst I was glad to see the back of him when he left, I thought that we would move on. And the way that we're going to talk about a whole new thing when we bring up the name Gazidis, but when Gazidis sold us Emery, he said that Emery suits the style of Arsenal. He fits the philosophy. He wants to take the team forward, which looks a load of bollocks now because it is a load of bollocks.
I think Gazidis got it spot on. Arsenal at the moment is shit, and he's got a shit manager to.
It just makes no sense. I don't get why they thought that Emery was the right guy, because I knew from watching him at Sevilla that it doesn't work. It's not that system. Go on, Lee.
What we had was we had this free flowing football with Arsene Wenger. And what we needed was a manager to come in and keep that free-flowing football, but shore it up at the back by coaching and whatever. And that's what we believe we was getting with Emery. It's far from it, absolutely far from it. And that has been the worry for, he hasn't done that. And what he's done is he's sacrificed our free-flowing football to defend, and the defending has actually got worse. And that's why for me that he's dead man walking.
Do you know what, Lee? I'm going to say something controversial now. Right? I don't think you're going to agree with me, right? It wouldn't bother me if Liverpool went unbeaten this year. I'll tell you why. I want to put this invincible stuff to bed now because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Our fans, even the ones who are not even old enough, even who weren't even born in 2004 or can't even remember it, are still going on about Invincibles like it was yesterday, right? And we're so beaten down as a fan base now, where we're before with Arsene Wenger. The reason people wanted Arsene Wenger to go, because he'd been there and done it. We thought that he might have it in him to get us there again, but obviously he never. So we want him to go. Now we've lowered our expectations even more. It's like top four is our pinnacle now. Under Arsene Wenger, it wouldn't have been acceptable. Why is it acceptable under Emery?
Listen. The Invincibles in 2004 was not a better team or squad than the 2002 one. The 2002 one was a better team, in my opinion. It won the double. It went away from home and didn't lose a game. The Invincibles, were great for whatever like that. But Dennis Bergkamp was not in his prime when that team was about. But listen, that is something that we can treasure for hopefully for the rest of my lifetime. You know what I mean? The Invincibles. It's something unique. And I don't want any other team.
Mate, we celebrated it. We've done it. We've done it. It's over and done, Lee. It's done. It's over.
Of course it is. Football changes.
You know what? I'll take away the Invincibles tomorrow if we didn't have 15 years of shit after that. We're still living. We're still living off it. We're still living off it, Lee.
No, we're not living off it. Like you know what I mean.
You know what?
Things happen. But at the end of the day, it's not the being in it. Listen, the reason we're in this state at the moment is because for so many years, right, the board and Arsene Wenger, what they've done was they brainwashed us to thinking that fourth was an achievement. Oh, we get fourth, and all of a sudden it was that become more important than and we lost oversight of challenging for titles. It's as simple as that. Now the titles are not great. But don't take away our history and all that. I'll say Liverpool, who have got enough history as it is to take something away from us, in my opinion.
Do you know what? As far as I'm concerned, it's like when you had a bunk up when you're 21. It was really good, right? You lasted 3 hours. It was great. You pulled the best looking bird, and now we're in our 50s, whatever, 49. Yeah, you don't perform as well. We're still living off what happened 20 years ago. It's gone, Lee. It's gone.
You could still have it in the memory bank, though.
It's gone. I think the Invincibles and Arsene Wenger's success cost us another 10 years under Arsene Wenger. It'd be an absolute dross. Because it was too much of a bigger achievement. If we just won the league normally, then yeah. But because it was Invincibles, we kept Wenger for longer and longer until he buried us. What do you reckon, Tom?
Everything you've said there, apart from the invincible bits, is coming back to the raw point of what is wrong with our club now, and that's the board. It's the board.
Yeah.
It's the board, and it's the chairman's. Do you know what I mean? That's where it all comes back to. At the moment, they're treating this club well. They're treating the fans, make us think that we're an arid side. When the board and the chairman, they go out and they buy players from Poundland. It's as simple and easy as that. Now, if they want to do that, that's fine. But then what they've got to do is be realistic with the fans and say, look, we're in turmoil at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to lower the prices down to the expectations of the club at the moment. Because we're not four side. We ain't. The quicker we all get used to that now, the better. Because we're not a top side.
Before I come on to Tom as well, so I just want to explain something to everyone in the comments, and also people who watch AFTV and put their rubbish in the comments as well, right? When you make a point, right, and you dramatise it like I just done with Invincibles. Obviously, I don't want Liverpool to go and get Invincibles, but sometimes to make a point, you have to make it a bit sexy, right? To hit home. Of course, I don't want Liverpool to get Invincibles. So where I make a point on AFTV and then I get all the vile abuse. Read between the lines of the subliminal message behind the point.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why you're getting abused, because you do that. You know, like, if you don't put that in there, you ain't going to get the abuse, are you?
Mate, you know what? Because I think that everyone's got the super intelligence that I've got, and they can actually understand.
what it is for me, people like me and you, Sonny, we can't articulate ourselves like as good.
Mate, no, I disagree. I think I articulate it very well, but it's above people's intelligence.
I speak for myself.
I'm not putting myself down, mate. It's beyond some people's intelligence. Tom,
obviously, you know what I mean. Sometimes what's in here, I can't let it come out. You know what I mean. It's only a couple of hours later. I know exactly what I wanted to say, but like you said, you know, people. It doesn't bother me if people say that they want Arsenal to lose because they want Emery out. That really doesn't bother me because I understand the message behind it. Do you know what I mean? It's not that they want us to lose, really, deep down. It's because they want Emery gone that badly.
Tom, give us your final thoughts before we wrap it up.
Oh, final thoughts. I mean, I don't see anything changing. I don't see things being changed in terms of management to the end of the season. I think that there's going to be podcast upon podcast where we're saying he hasn't left yet, and it will get the same old stuff being said week in, week out. And as Tel said, it just week in, week out will come back to the fact that we've got a board that think of and acts like we have a small club mentality, because we don't have a big club mentality, because there's no ruthlessness, there's no guile to go out and really sign the players that we want or make the decisions that need to be made on the pitch and with the coaching staff. And for that reason, we won't get top four this season. We might scrape into the Champions League by a lucky Europa win, because we've got the manager that is the specialist at doing that, if we're extremely lucky. But I don't see us getting into the Champions League for next season. I see the same thing happening in the summer, where we sign arguably the wrong player for a lot of money, and not sign the players in the positions that we need. And maybe even if the rumours are led to be true, that this manager could even get another year next season is the scariest thing I can see going forward. So there's your final thoughts, mate.
Thanks for that thought. I'm just going to go and put my head in the oven.
Do you know what? Before I come on to you, Lee, do you know what I feel like now after just listening to Tom? I can't swim, right? I can't swim. I can't swim a stroke, right? Arsenal, for me at the moment, I've given up so much. If I fell into the Thames, I wouldn't even bother flapping my arms. I'll just accept it. And that's what we're doing as a fan base. I'll accept it and drown. That's what we're doing as a fan base now. So, Lee, when are we making a bloody stand as fans? And not with stupid we care. I did like the we care for you, do you think? Because it brought fans together. You know, it showed there was fans who was unhappy. But when are we going to actually make a proper stand?
If things go wrong on Saturday, which I hope and pray they don't, there will be a reaction. Don't worry about that, like, you know, and it will get toxic. It's as simple as that, like, you know. For me, you know, I'm not blaming Emery no more. Emery now,
yeah,
I've got no problems with Emery now. He is done and dusted as far as I'm concerned. It's the board now that I'm going to go for. Every time I get interviewed, I will say, what about the ball? About, you know, every time I go in there, I'll say about Mr. Kroenke, I'm not excited. What are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like, you know, you're a liar. You know what I mean? So we'll see. But we'll also see what happens in January. January is going to be a big indication to us Arsenal fans what's going to go on. Are they going to spend money to try? Because Tom made a fantastic point earlier on. Manchester City are in a little bit of trouble. They're going to buy their way out of it. They're going to buy players and all that up to get to what they want to get to. Are Arsenal prepared to do that? But if they're not prepared to do that, but they're still prepared to take our money, then so be it. You're going to get the wrath of the fans.
Terry.
I do agree with what Lee said there. Do you know what I mean? I'm not angry with the players anymore or Emery. It's the board themselves now. Do you know what I mean? Because it all lies with them. They could change this in an instant. All they've got to do is just hold their hands up, say, sorry, we've got it wrong. Emery's not the manager for us. I hope he goes back to Seville. I hope they win Europa League another 3 times on the trot if that's what they want to do. And I hope he buys the world-class player that he loves, Saka, and takes him with him. I've got no problem with that. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, all I want is a new change. I want to just be happy to go and watch Arsenal again. I want to see us at least performing and putting our art on the sleeve every game. And for me, I'll keep saying it, the manager I'd love to see there at Arsenal is Arteta for me. I'd love to see it.
Do you know, for me, right? Far as I'm concerned, I think it's not fair on Emery now. Like Lee said, if we keep going after Emery, Emery can't be held accountable for absolutely everything. It's the board. It is the board. Don Raul. Where does Don Raul come from? What's he done to call him Don Raul? Do you know what Don means in Turkish? Pants. Right? Don actually means pants in Turkish. So as far as I'm concerned, he's got the Turkish equivalent of Don Raul at the moment. Because for me, he hasn't done it, and it's just a shame that we've come to the end of this podcast, right? Because I've actually really enjoyed speaking to all 3 of you, because I could speak to you lot for hours. But I know all your missus are going to start moaning, so we're going to have to get off. Everyone in the comments, thanks for joining us as well. For me, Southampton is my last game. Win or lose, I've had enough till Emery goes. I'm going to have Southampton as my last game, say my goodbyes, to people, and then you'll only see me on here. I'm not on Twitter anymore. Follow us on my Insta. Get us on there. But I just want to say a very big thank you to Lee Juges, who you could also obviously find on the Same Old Arsenal, a brilliant podcast. Also, obviously on AFTV, one of the very few people who actually speaks a lot of sense on there, and has got proper dignity. He hasn't sold himself out for endorsements and sponsorships. He's a proper fan.
Yeah.
Also to Tom as well. You have to go and check out, if you want a proper, as well as the Same Old Arsenal, if you want a proper podcast, what speaks football, what Tom don't know about football, not just Arsenal, all football. I want to take him to a Spanish restaurant. All the pronunciations, Tom, you know your stuff, mate. I haven't watched the Champions League since we ain't been in it. I just can't watch it. Shout his channel out, and also where they can find you on Twitter, Tom, and tell people what you do on your channel as well.
Yeah, as I said at the start, at the Goonertalktv on Twitter, and you just search the Gooner Talk, it will come up on YouTube. Lots of shows. We've been doing some tactical managerial breakdowns. We're looking at some managers that Arsenal could take on board. Today we released a show on Bruno Lage, the Benfica coach, and tomorrow we've got an interview with the one and only Arse blog on the channel as well. So tune in to check that one out.
Brilliant. So all go subscribe to Same Old Arsenal, and also Chronicles of the Gooner is another good one, and also the Gooner Talk TV. Proper podcast. Hopefully we're up there with them now. Obviously not for numbers at the moment, but we offer say a little bit different. But it was very good tonight. Terry, thanks for joining us. Everyone, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. What's that, Tel?
Can I just quickly say that it's been a pleasure, honestly, to have Lee on and Tom on, and I hope you get them back on again, especially, unfortunately, I don't want to say this, but when we lose, just to see
the emotion.
Yeah. When, not if.
Not if, when. Yeah, sorry. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you.
It's been a real pleasure talking to you.
You know what? If you ever have got time to come in the future, obviously it's an open invitation. Some people just don't need invites. It's just that's how it goes. So we'll let you all go now, and I'll let these people get back to their families. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you for a preview for the Southampton game, which will probably be on Thursday. Take care, everyone. Speak to you soon.
See you later.
Down you Gunners.